Hi everybody, today I'm filming a really exciting video because Beauty Bay has done it again. They have dropped some more palettes, this time some more 42 shade palettes. Now I wasn't interested in the initial palettes that came out because I just thought that in each of those palettes there was a lot of colours that were very similar and also just very neutral. Although there were some really nice shades in there that were colourful, I really do prefer colour. I like neutral colours, don't get me wrong. I don't always wear colour, most of the time I do, but some of the time I do go for more neutral looks, but I have neutral palettes for that, so they kind of just didn't grab me. They've released 4 new palettes. They're on pre-release at the moment. I think it's, I don't know if it's just for Tribe members, which I'm a member of the Tribe Club, which is their kind of points scheme that they have, and you can save up your points for various things on the site. It's well worth joining because it's free, and if you do like to purchase beauty products, Beauty Bay is great. Free delivery over £15, really fast, reliable service, and pretty much great customer services. I have had a couple of incidents where it's not been amazing, but for the most part I've had a really good experience with their customer services. So really rate Beauty Bay as a brand, and that's where I would probably purchase most of my things from because I buy my makeup online mostly. I don't really go out shopping quite that much, and anything high street then I would get on Superdrug. So anything kind of Revolution, or if I'm picking up a foundation or anything, or any kind of repurchase of high street products, it's Superdrug for me. Not that you need to know that. But they brought out 4 new 42 shade palettes. It's a little bit different. I find it unusual what they've done, and I'll explain that in a second. But basically a little while ago, just before Christmas, they released 3 sets of eyeshadow palettes. So there was the berry shades, the fiery shades and the bright shades, and for each of that range they had a 16 shade palette and 3 mini palettes of 9 shades each. Now the mini palettes took the shape of 1 completely matte, 1 completely shimmer and 1 that had a mix in, and then the 16 shade palette was a mixture of mattes and shimmers. So that was basically what it was. I have videos on my channel of those palettes because from the fiery range I got the 16 and the 9 bright matte shades, and I have a palette I have a video up of swatches of those, so I'll insert that below for you so you can check that out. If you watch right to the end of the video, I'll link the other EYN palette videos that I have done. As I said, I got 2 of the fiery palettes, and then the bright palettes I got all 3 of the mini ones, which is the 9 shades and the 16 shade one. And then they have now brought out 42 shades. So there's the 42 shade berry, 42 shade fiery, and oddly enough, I found this really quite unusual but amazing, is that there are 2 variations. So there's a 42 bright matte shades. How exciting is that? And then there's a 42 bright, which is a mixture of shimmers and mattes. And I looked at it and I thought, right, okay, it's £23. How amazing for 42 shades. And I just thought, right, gotta get that. So I got it with Klarna. If nobody's used Klarna before, Klarna is something on Beauty Bay's site where you can buy now and pay in a month's time. I didn't have any money left in my account, and I just thought, right, I had £5 worth of Tribe points on my account, so I used them off it and I'm left with £18, and I've put it on Klarna. I get paid on the 28th and I'll just pay it straight off then. Probably too much information, but I just thought I'd let you know. Klarna is great. It's how I got the Jeffree Star. there was a pre-order for it, and Tony bought me it for Christmas, so I just pre-ordered it and then she paid for it once it had arrived. And you know, obviously it's a great scheme. It's really useful if you don't have the money in your account and something drops that you know might be limited edition or might sell out quite quickly, or you just have to have your hands on it right then Klarna is just, it's just really useful. It only gives you a month's grace, but still, it got me to payday. So enough waffling, this is the palette. It is quite a good size. I'll show you the size difference between this palette, the 16 and the 9s, in the swatch section of the video, which is at the end of the video, and then you can just kind of see the difference. But it is very large. I'm not sure where I'm going to store it just yet because it is the biggest palette I own, but I got the bright mattes. Now, if you've seen my original review on the Bright palettes, the EYN Brights, I did say that the shimmers needed a little bit more work. They take a lot more packing on, and it just takes layering with them because I don't think they're very strong. I don't know whether in the new palette maybe they've improved the formula, but that was my take on it. And because I couldn't afford both of them, I just thought I'm going to go for the one that I know I'll use loads, and that is the Bright Matte palette. And then some point in the future I'll invest in the other one as well. So let's get onto the palette. You're probably thinking, just shut up waffling and get it open. In the lid, absolutely massive mirror. There's the ring light, sorry to blind you. Huge mirror. And that is what the palette looks like inside. It's a little difficult to show on camera, I'm going to be honest, just because the packaging is holographic, and while that is really, really beautiful, it's this blue holographic to match the other palettes, it's gorgeous, but for me, I do have visual issues, and it can be very difficult to read the names. I'm sorry about my chipped nails, very sorry. I'm very hardcore with my hands, I tend to chip nail polish quite quickly. But yeah, it's just a little difficult to read the shades. Not a big issue really, because on a daily basis using it, you don't really need to know what the shades are called when you put them on your eyes. So I'm not so bothered about that, but it is absolutely stunning, and I'm going to bring it in so you can see it better now. So we have basically 7 shades per row, and there are 6 rows in here. Our top row is our neutral row, and then we go down into a completely pink row, oranges and reds, yellows and greens, blues, and then purples. And these, let me tell you, in the swatch section you'll see I've swatched these without primer. Some are a little patchy, but they actually perform really well with a brush. So don't worry if some shadows, when you swatch them, they seem a little patchy. When you get them on your eye, they're actually really great when used with a brush and on top of a primer. The other thing is that I would say about it is that some shades do take a little bit of layering, and I think that comes down to the formulation of the shade, because some of the shades when you touch them are buttery soft and velvety, some of them are a lot harder. So I think it's just the formulation of the shadows themselves. Also in the swatch section I have done some comparisons with the previous palettes, and I have made lots of notes because I want to give you all the information on this that I can. These are 42 matte shades. Now if you've bought any of the previous palettes, I'm going to tell you exactly how many from each are repeated, and I will let you know overall that out of 42 shades, 13 shades are repeated in here, which is actually, I think, really good. It means there are 29 new shades in this palette, which is fantastic, because I was quite concerned, are they going to be just every single shade, you know, repeated in here? And they're not. There are some shades in the other palettes that are not repeated, but I'm going to go over that now with you. But 42 matte colourful shades, and they are absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed swatching them. I've got them on my eyes today. This colour here, can I say, didn't swatch over great, but is incredibly impressive on the brush. It's what I've got on my inner corner here. It is the most beautiful purple. Honestly, I cannot wait to do a look with like mainly this, like do a whole lid in this or a whole crease in it, because it's absolutely stunning. That's them, and now I want to go to my notes and talk to you about the information that I have about the previous palettes. So obviously there's nothing repeated, these are my other ones. There's nothing repeated in the shimmer one, because that's all shimmers. If you have the Bright palette, this is where most of the shades are actually coming from, because out of this one, all 10 of the matte shades from the 16 are in the larger palette. So if you have this, then there are 10 matte shades in here, and they are all repeated. I have done comparison swatches in case you're interested to see if there's any difference, and there are 6 shimmer shades in here. So that's just something to bear in mind if you do have the larger one. The Bright one has 3 shades, 3 of the matte shades, and there are only 4 matte shades in here. So the only one that is not repeated in the larger palette, so kind of a unique shade to the smaller palette, is Surreal Strawberry, which is actually a stunning colour. So I'm really happy to have this anyway, because the shimmers are pretty, but also Surreal Strawberry is amazing. I don't know why I didn't make it in the bigger palette, but it didn't. And then if you have the Bright Matte 9, This is the one that has the least transfer across into the larger palette. There are actually 5 of the 9 shades in here and they're not in the large palette. So you've got Coconut Crush, Pinky Promise, Carpe Diem, Jaded and Purple Rain. So that's really quite good. So if you did happen to initially get this because you wanted to see how they performed, or you really just prefer matte bright shades, then if you have bought this, you're really only repeating 4 of the shades. 5 of the shades from this are not in the larger palette. So I think that's really good, because to go from this, which is a standalone matte palette, and to go into the larger matte palette and only take 4 of the shades of the 9, I think that's pretty good. I can understand why from the 16 they took all of the matte shades, because the 16 palette is considered probably their core palette for the collection. But if you did purchase the other ones, you have, you know, some original shades that haven't made it into here. So that's really quite nice, but it's absolutely stunning. It's a really nice variety of shades, and I think you can get so many looks out of this. Even out of the blues, you could do like a look with all of the, you know, all of the blues. You don't have to necessarily dodge around the palette, but it's absolutely stunning. And yeah, it is a big palette. So yes, I am really pleased with it. But if you've seen my review on the original palettes, you will know that I was already incredibly impressed with the palettes. As I said, the shimmers didn't quite blow me away, but the matte shades were incredible. So to see that they did a whole bright matte palette just was so exciting to me, because I thought, oh, there'll be 3 palettes. It'll be a berry, a matte and a berry can't talk today. A berry, a bright and a fiery, and then I thought in that palette you'll get a mix of mattes and shimmers. That's how I thought it'd be. So when I saw that there were 4 palettes and they had done that concept, but then they'd done a one with all matte bright shades, I was so excited. I was like, get that in the basket, get it at the checkout, let me get this. And it's kind of I think it's a pre-exclusive for Tribe members at present. I'm not sure when they're releasing it general public, but you might as well go on and sign up to Tribe, because you get points every time you spend and it is free to join. I ordered this Tuesday evening and it's Thursday, so it came Thursday morning, so it was incredibly fast shipping. It does go flat. So that's just something also to keep in mind. If you don't use mirrors on palettes, because I don't use mirrors on palettes, you can't actually bend it completely over and just hold it flat, which is really useful, because not all palettes you can do that. Some of them only go so far and it can be a bit of a pain, but this one completely folds in half. So yeah, just something to have in mind if that's something that concerns you, because we all have different things that we like from palettes, different things that we prefer. And yes, it is going to get fingerprinty, it is that kind of stuff, but it is really nice looking. So there's some information on the back. It just says the ultimate collection of matte rainbow hued eyeshadows. This 42 shade palette contains everything you need to experiment with the colour spectrum, combining pinks, blues, greens, yellows and purples for brilliantly bold, bright results, with so many colour options literally at your fingertips. The EYN 42 colour bright matte palette allows you to create and play with an infinite number of multi-dimensional looks. Every shade has intense pigment payoff. The smooth, buttery mattes with intense pigmentation glide on and stay on, blending seamlessly for colour that lasts. It does say at the bottom that some colours contain pigments which, according to US law, may not be suitable for use in the eye area. We don't have quite the same sort of laws governing certain shades over here. So there are certain things where in America it might say this is not suitable for the eye area. That's because they have certain laws in place about certain chemicals that are eye safe, whereas in the UK we have different regulations, so we wouldn't necessarily have that. But obviously this palette's going to be released worldwide, so they have put that information on there. It does say that it is cruelty free and vegan, so that's also a really good point to raise about the palette. Some of these shades did stain a little bit, but they did actually come off with a baby wipe, so I didn't have a problem with that, and that was on bare skin. So some shades depend on yourself. You will know whether you are the type of person where some shadows will actually stain your eye area, so just layering, you know, foundation and primer and powders to kind of sort of reduce that effect could be helpful, but I don't have that problem. Things don't stain my skin, so yeah, I'm not going to think about that or worry about that too much. I'm really just love it. For me, look at this navy shade. I go on about this navy shade. I love a really beautiful navy blue, and until Kat Von D's Fetish palette I could not find it, but this is really beautiful. It's an insane navy shade. It's gorgeous, so I'm really pleased with that. It doesn't bother me that 13 shades from here are repeated from the other palettes, because the other palettes are smaller and a lot easier to travel with. This is a large palette. It's not going to be easy to travel with. I wouldn't carry it around with me. The smaller palettes are easy just to slot into your makeup bag. So it's, for me, it's useful to have both. Also, I do use colour every day, so it's really great to have the choice and to have lots of different colour options, but also just, you know, I mean, make me wink. I love that colour. I wear that in the crease and I'm really fond of it, so to have it again in this palette, I've got it in the others, that doesn't concern me at all. They've repeated some of the best and strongest colours in here, in my opinion anyway, so to have them twice, yeah, I'm okay with that. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed this little mini review. I hope you'll stay tuned for the swatching section of this video. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it as always. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know if you have bought any of these palettes from Beauty Bay, whether you've got the original 42 shade palettes or anything from the Berry Bright or Fiery range. I'd love to hear your opinion on these, and if you have a particular favourite colour that you love to wear or a particular go-to look, then please do comment below, because I'm always looking for new things to try out. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I'm going to love and leave you here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. So here is a close-up look at the palette in relation to the 9. That is the size difference, and in relation to the 16, that is the size difference. Just to give you a reference point. So let's get straight into swatching. So we're just going to swatch row by row. I'm not going to try in any way to try and put these in one place. There are 42 shades in this palette. There is just absolutely no way that I can get these all on an arm. They'd be too tiny, and I want you to be able to physically see these swatches. There are 7 shadows per row. There are 6 rows, kept pretty much within colour family. So there's a neutral row, pink row, and then a warm toned with orange and reds. There's yellows and greens together, there's blues, and then there's purples. So that is what it looks like. We're going to go with the first row, and I'm just going to swatch them on my arm. I'm not using any primer today, just swatching straight onto bare skin, just so you can see how these perform without a primer. Across the top, we've got White Lies, Nothing Else, Bare Necessity, Preppy Pecan, Drizzle, Threat and Illicit. So that is the top row. I'm going to go in over that white again. The next colour, which is called Nothing Else, is very much my skin tone. That would be really perfect for the lid. White to make the colours pop, something for them to go on top of, like a nice clean base. But this is a nice sort of lid shade, transition shade. These are all just neutrals. I really like this one, which is called Drizzle. It's a really nice soft grey. You've got a darker toned grey, which is just gorgeous, and that one is called Threat, and then Illicit is your black. I'm going to go ahead and swatch the next row here because I have enough room. That way I can do 2 rows at a time. So on the next row we have got Sweet Tooth, Tutu, Strawberry Bonbon, Tutti Frutti, Cosmopolitan, Make Them Wink and Dragon Fruit. And that is row 2. Really nice. This is actually quite a nice sort of pastel shade here at the end. So the first one, which was called Sweet Tooth. And then just some nice 2 sort of peachy ones, a really sort of much darker peach and then a lighter peach, which is really nice to have those 2 in there. And then some brighter pinks going up to that really quite sort of, I don't know, that's a really nice pink. It's like a much darker, much more sort of muted, sort of dusky pink. So they are really stunning. That is the first 2 rows. So moving on to the next 2 rows. Moving into some exciting colours now. We have got Just Peachy, Tangerine Dream, Koi, Heatwave, Poppin' Poppy, Hot Stuff, and Head Over Heels. Can't wait to swatch this row. So that is that row. There is minimal difference between the first and the third, and those are called Just Peachy and Koi. The thing I'd say that is different is this is a dirtier, grungier sort of looking orange. The second orange, which is called Tangerine Dream, is a really bright true orange, which is nice. And then this is brighter still, so that one is Heatwave. We've seen Heatwave before, it's a real true orange. This leans more to like an actual orange, as in an actual fruit colour, whereas that is like a true bright kind of kids paint colour orange. With the reds I had to do 2 swatches. You can see the last one is a little bit patchy, but you've got a nice red. It's just a bit more muted. Then this one, which is called Hot Stuff, is a really bright true red, and then you've got Head Over Heels, which is more of a wine colour, so it's just a little bit darker. But that's a really nice row. Really, really pretty colours there. Really great for you if you like these oranges and red colours, because I think they're really strong. So moving on to the next row, you've got Custard Cream, Daffodil Delight, Hello Sunshine, Slice of Lime, Granny Smith, Oasis, Labyrinth. Okay, so moving on to this row, what I'll say is some of these mattes come across as a little hard when you swatch them. Some of them are very soft, so there is a little bit of a difference. I don't know whether that's got to do with the different colours, but you will find that when you do them. Custard Cream, bizarrely enough, has shimmer to it. I don't know if you're going to make that out here, but it kind of shimmers a little bit. I find that a little bit unusual. It's a lovely colour, beautiful pastel yellow, but definitely has some shimmer to it. Daffodil Delight is an actual daffodil colour. I am blown away with this one. I think it's beautiful. Then you've got a true yellow with this Hello Sunshine. And then these greens, you've got that lovely lime colour up to a grass colour. Then up to that sort of more turquoisey kind of colour, and then a dark green. So I think that this row is particularly stunning. In fact, if you take a look at these colours, how beautiful are these colours? I just cannot wait to get these on my eyes. Daydream, Sea Mist, Paradise, Pacific Dreams, Bobbing Along, Blur, and Stormy Night. So that is that row. I have gone over twice these first 3 shades. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to wear these 2 together. Cannot. They're so pretty. And Pacific Dreams we've seen before, but this is actually a really lovely sky blue. It's really nice. Then you've got that bluey purple shade. I don't know why this shade is on this row. I feel like we could have had another blue. We could have had a, you know, I don't know, we could have had something else anyway. Because this is quite a pastel sort of aqua shade. We could have had a pastel baby blue on this shade. On this row, I should say. But yeah, I mean, this is just definitely a purple. It's very patchy. This one's called Blur. It's very, very patchy on application. That's 2 passes over and you can still see how patchy that one is. Not sure how that one's going to apply on the eyes, but still, what a beautiful set of shades that is. And then moving on to the last row. Living for Lavender, Sugar Plum, Wisteria, Purple Power, Modern Way, Grape Escape, Drama Queen. Grape Escape, I love that, like the Great Escape. I also like Wisteria because I am a Desperate Housewives fan. And yeah, this Purple Power, I cannot wait to swatch this one. So let's get to swatching the last row. Really nice. This is actually a really lovely shade, this one at the end, which is Living for Lavender. Really, really pretty. And then these 2 shades are really quite close. This is just a hint darker, so some nice plums before moving into some purples. The purples are a little bit patchy. There are 2 layers here. Those colours at the end, those purples, a little bit patchy, but I think with layering they'd be fine. These are really pretty. These 2 are actually fairly close in colour. So there's not a lot of difference between those 2, like there's a lot of difference between those 2, so that is the bottom. These 2 here are similar and these 2 here are similar. For reference, I'm going to swatch it from here. So again, apologies for the nail varnish. Okay, interesting. This, in this palette, just seems to be quite harder. And it actually is a different shade slightly. I don't know if you can see that. In the new palette, this definitely has a bit more plumminess to it. It's definitely a true dark purple in the other palette. So that's quite interesting. There are 13 shades that are repeated. So now what I'm going to do is, considering that this is a little different, I'm going to go to those 13 shades in the other palettes that they brought out on the previous launch. And I'm going to swatch them alongside the ones in the new palette and see if there's any difference in the other shades. So this is the original 16 palette. That is 1 pass. Insane pigmentation. As you can see, they are absolutely stunning. I'm going to do the same with the duplicate shadows in the large palette. Okay, so here we go. So the shades that are on the left are the original palette. The shades that are on the right are the new palette. There's not a great deal of difference here once that's blended. These 3 shades are identical, which is Make Them Wink, Hot Stuff and Hello Sunshine. Closer look there, they are absolutely identical. However, when you come along here, Oasis in the new palette, swatches much weaker. I literally gave that the same amount of swatching in the pan and it's not quite as, it feels harder. The shadow feels harder to the touch in this palette. So, I mean, it could just be, you know, a batch. So, you never know. Pacific Dreams is the same. And then Drama Queen. In fairness, I'd say that it's harder pressed in the new palette and that it is better pressed in the old palette. Because it just comes off with more pigmentation, less patch. It's also a slight bit brighter than the newer version. So that is those ones there. And then we'll do the neutral shades and the ones that are in the other palettes. I do think the new Pacific Dreams is a hint brighter also though. I don't know whether that's shown up on camera, but in person it just comes off a bit brighter. Right, let's do the 4 neutrals from this one. So that's what the 4 neutrals look like. So here we go. White Lies, it feels a little harder in the new palette and is not as pigmented as the original. This one, Bare Necessity, pretty much the same once it's blended out. These two, pretty much the same. I would say it's a hint warmer in the new palette, to be fair. I think you can probably see that difference there. It is a hint warmer. And the blacks, there's really nothing in that. So the neutral shades, not a great deal of difference, just on pigmentation really. Although, yeah, Preppy Pecan is a little different. This one is the Bright. And out of this palette we have Heatwave, Granny Smith and Tutti Frutti. That's what those three look like. And we'll put them on out of this palette. I don't know, there's a slight change in the coloration there. I think Tutti Frutti is actually better in the new palette. It does seem to have a bit more pigmentation to it. And Granny Smith is pretty much identical. The last duplicates are from the Bright Matte, which is the 9 shade palette. In here we have Make Them Wink, Hello Sunshine, Heatwave and Pacific Dreams. So that's them from the original palette. And the reason I am comparing them, even though I've already compared Make Them Wink from another palette, I want to compare them palette across palette, because some people might not have bought the 16, they might have just bought the 9. So I want to kind of show consistency and kind of swatch everything like for like. And that is those ones. Again, we have the new palette on the right and the old on the left. Pretty similar here once you blend that. I do think that the new palette is a little hint brighter. Pigmentation's really great. Hello Sunshine, nothing much in that. Heatwave, again, nothing in that. And Pacific Dreams, really nothing in that. So they are identical shades. I want adventure in the great white somewhere. When I got off the bus yesterday dressed as Belle, when the doors opened I felt like singing that line. I want adventure in the great white. I was like, no, control yourself.